Hey guys, I'm super excited for the guest we have on today. His name is Kirk Jakesta, award-winning author, inspirational speaker, and Indigenous leader. His book, The Authorities, Break Down the Box, has been released last year, and it's selling a lot of copies. We're excited to have him on the show. You're going to want to stay tuned for this one. Kirk, how are you doing?
Good, man. How are you?
Doing great. Let's get started with, so I've personally read the book, but for our viewers who haven't seen it, could you just tell us a little bit about where your story started?
Yeah, absolutely. So first of all, thank you for having me here. Absolutely. It's pretty cool, to see what you're doing. It's great to see other people that are kind of into this space, you know what I mean? Because it's not that common that we have people, everybody's so close-minded. So,
absolutely.
So for me, when I started writing this book, I guess to start how I got to the book would be better to start how I got to the book, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So it all started, I'd say about May 2018, and I had this buddy of mine who wasn't my buddy at the time, but we actually, started talking.
Yeah.
And this is something that's very taboo for a lot of people, but it was a network marketing business that kind of got my mindset started, right? So I joined this business. The business is great, I love the business, the model of it. I traveled all throughout the States, met some great people.
Oh, sorry, what was the business again?
ACN.
Okay.
Yeah, so
what
ACN
do
is
they
All
do?
Communication Network. They're the largest direct seller of telecommunications, energy, and other essential services.
Okay.
So they're in 26 different countries. They've been around for over 25 years.
Yeah.
A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. Mm-hmm. They had all the credentials that were there that was able to draw me in.
Right.
To be able to offer services and everything.
Okay.
So cell phones, internet, home phone, security automation, payment processing, identity theft. It was, it was the perfect business for somebody like me to start very minimal investment to get going. And that's just basically how I got into it. And when I got into it, I met some amazing people, surrounded myself with some multimillionaires. My mindset started changing quick, right? I was thinking different, I was acting different. But that came with a lot of hit and miss, right?
Right.
When you're starting something like this, there's a lot of failure. There's a lot of, at most times, shame, because you're going out there, you're really putting yourself out there.
Okay.
Right? But not a lot of people could respect that because they're not there yet, right? Mm-hmm. You don't really learn to appreciate it until you're in it.
Right.
So I found it hard to, putting myself out there. I wasn't hiding it. I was, going full board at it, and I loved it. I was in there. I was traveling U.S. Before then, I've traveled to Vegas once outside of Canada, and that was a bust of a trip. That one was, and so this, to travel all throughout the States, it was pretty cool.
Right.
So it started my journey into personal development, right? And from there, I would just, signing up for seminars. I originally signed up for some real estate seminars. Okay. And then I signed up for a speaker communication seminar where, I learned to speak so I could go onto stage and, turn it into a career. Through there, the Raymond Aaron Group, he showed me how I could get involved with this book. 3 #1 New York Times bestsellers, right? There's Les Brown, Marcy Shimoff, and Raymond Aaron himself. So, to be able to put my name anywhere close to Les Brown alone was worth it to me. So, I jumped full board at it. And through that book, this is where I really kind of went deep into where I came from and how I grew up. Mm-hmm. So a lot of people, there's this big, kind of stigmatism about how natives are nowadays, right? We protest for our land. We fight for our rights because we feel like we're treated like the lesser equal, right? So,
would you say that in many ways that is true, or what
you know what? Here's the deal. After in the mid 1900s, before then, racism was always around.
Absolutely.
Always. So when the government said, okay, we're gonna give you guys this land, we're gonna take everything else, we're gonna give you this little bit. But then they go ahead and they say, okay, we're going to take your children out of your homes. You imagine having a happy family at home, you're living your regular life, and then you have your children stripped away from you by the government. You can't do nothing about it, or you're going to end up in jail, or worse, right? So, our people got pulled out of their homes. They got put into residential school systems. There was a lot of mental, emotional, and physical abuse, rapes. They were being fed like rotten food. And okay, I'll put this in perspective for you. How bad it was. My grandmother, who's still alive, by the way. Like, people think that it's like long ago. Get over it, right?
Right.
Our people are still alive. My mom went through it. My dad went through it. My grandmother went through it. But one of the biggest stories that stuck out, aside from all of course, the rape and the abuse, the mass burials of our people, all that is like horrible enough. But to put it in perspective of my grandmother's first day ever going into the residential school system, she got told to strip down, go into a steaming hot shower, and they gave her like a wire brush, like a hard brush, bristle brush, scrape the brown off her skin. Like, this is kind of stuff that people don't really understand, right? People don't really get it. They think, why are these people fighting so hard for their land and stuff, like, and because we've been fighting for our lives for years now, for decades, like, and for them to try come in and say, okay, that little bit of land that we gave you, we're now gonna take it back and do what we want with it, even though the law states that within the agreements of the land they gave us, that they do not have that right. So that's where our people are coming from when it comes to fighting all that.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yes.
Incredible. So you have such a positive outlook on business and on life. And what's your opinion on the status right now of First Nations in Canada, and what can they do? Is it just you personally as a person? Are you just motivated, or how do you take your leadership position as a First Nations leader in business right now? Are you gonna be inspiring others to follow suit, educate, or are you just doing this personally for yourself?
Yeah, no, that's exactly where I want to take this, right? Like, first of all, nobody will follow you if they don't see what you have done. You know what I'm saying? We live in a day and age now where people want to see proof. People want to see action before words, right? You could say you're going to do something, but that's just words. You got to go out there and try to get some results first. So through that, like, to be able to do something like get into a published book, an award-winning book with, amazing authors, that's one accomplishment in its own, but there's so many other opportunities that are out there. What I really want to do is to be able to really bring like a new wave of entrepreneurs in First Nations, because even though like our hearts are all in the right place, I feel it's a very broken system where they're still pushing education, get into trades, find a job, right? In my opinion, and for those like you and I that kind of understand, getting a job and going to like school for going to college or university,
right,
you're signing yourself up for a life sentence. A life sentence of trading in your time for a paycheck that's going to stay in the same area where you'll never be able to live the life that you want. You're going to have to answer to somebody for the rest of your life, or be a slave to your own job.
So on that topic, Kirk, what are you doing today to make something out of nothing? You just spoke about people today being, sentenced to a life of working for somebody else. How are you creating opportunities for yourself today, Kirk?
Yeah, so it all kind of started, as I grew up very broken, in a broken community. Not so much a broken community, a broken way of living. I was 14 years old when I first started, drinking and doing drugs, smoking weed. Typical. It's typical for us to do that, right? And I know it is for a lot of places too, right? But to have the freedom of doing that with a close group of friends, very frequently because it's such a small community. You're not being watched, you're not being worried about all the time. You're able to run and do things freely, right? So I grew up, I started getting into smoking weed and, drinking all the time at a very young age. I grew up in a kind of rough household. My parents did what they could to provide, but they only knew the way of living that they knew, right? They got used to it. They got used to it over the years. I grew up with two older brothers, and there was a lot of partying. There was a lot of fighting. The house got trashed within the first, 5 years of us having it, and it's still to this day, right? We had a fire in early 2000s in the kitchen. My mom was, making fried bread, and she fell asleep, and it burnt up the kitchen like pretty bad. To this day, it's still the same way. This is kind of mindset that we're living under, right?
Right.
So, as regards of that, moving up a little bit, turning 16 years old, I'm still doing, the same old thing, smoking weed, drinking all the time. I started selling drugs around that age, right? This is kind of the norm. Selling weed to start, I was selling, fair quantity at a young age, and I felt like I was cool. I was bringing in my own money. It was fun. I was having fun with my friends because that's what we did. We smoked weed all the time, hung out, drink, whatever. And then I move into harder drugs, cocaine and stuff like that, and it changes. It changes kind of the game. I believe life is all about moments, and that moment for me that kind of changed my mindset from being a cool, thinking I'm cool drug dealer to being able to leave the game was the moment that a good friend offered herself to me in exchange for drugs, and I was like, is this what this who I am right now? Is this the guy that I want to be for the rest of my life? I'm gonna end up killing somebody, killing myself, or ending up in jail, or a combination of the three. So I left then. This all happened around 18 years old, and I decided, I'm leaving. I left the village. I came down south here. I went to school. I took automotive, spent 10 months of my life wasting time, because once I graduated that, found out that the journeyman mechanics were like, why are you doing this? We hate our job. We hate our life. I'm like, enough for me. I'm out. So, I moved over to Vancouver here, and I just started working, jobs just above minimum wage. Started framing, building houses. I built like probably about 7-8 houses in my lifetime. Loved the job. Money sucked. So from there, I was working a lot, and I met a girl, the mother of my child now, and
Fantastic.
we within a couple of months, we found out we were gonna have a kid. To tell you the truth, it was more of a planned thing because we were young, naive. We thought we were in love, and I never regret it. My daughter's the best thing that's ever happened to me. But these are the kind of things that
Moments
that change your life forever. And I signed myself up for a life sentence right there, but I would never consider it torture. It made me who I am today.
Wonderful.
So once I found out that, I knew I had to get a better job. I knew I had to find something to provide for this child. So I got into, civil construction. And when I got there, I'm watching guys in the big machines and stuff, and excavators and dozers, and I fell in love with it. I'm like, wow, like I want to do that one day, you know what I mean? So I'm working, over the last 7-8 years, working my ass off to get into a seat. I never went to school for it. I never believed in going to school for this particular trade, because when you get there and you go to school, it's a piece of paper that every employee sees, and they're like, no, he's not experienced. So I knew that, early on, working with the guys, working with the pros and stuff, and I decided I'll just work my way to the top. I found out early that if you want to be good at something, you want to get, level up in any way, you have to try to be the best in what you're doing.
Absolutely.
Right? You don't half-ass it. Mediocrity is not the way to success. If you want to get good at anything, try be the best at it and excel above others and stand out, because that's you're not going to go anywhere unless you do otherwise, right?
Absolutely.
So, over the last four years, I'd say I've been operating pretty solidly. But I found out that once I got there, every dollar you go up, you think is, oh yeah, I'm gonna make it now. I'm making it now. Once you get to the peak, it's nothing. Like you're not going anywhere with it, right? You make more money, you spend more money. You're not doing anything with it that could, really truly bring you to what you really want. And nobody wants to work the rest of their life. If anybody says they love their job that they go to each and every day, I think they're lying. No matter what it is, nobody wants to spend the rest of their life, waking up early in the morning to go
working for somebody else.
Make somebody else rich. That's not the way to live. You got to have more drive. You have to have more motivation than just that. Right?
Absolutely.
So once I got there, finding out the grass isn't greener on the other side of what I thought it would be, I'm like, well, this is it. This is, and not knowing I can't go up anymore unless I commit to a leadership role, which I have done. I have been foreman. I have, run jobs before. I liked it, but I just saw it the same. It's all the same. You make a little bit more money and
with added liability.
Yeah, exactly. And you have all the stress and extra hours on you. You're shortening, ultimately you're shortening your time with your family. You're shortening your life with the stress. It's not worth it.
Right.
So finding out that, I got myself into personal development. I took a chance into network marketing. And even though I'm not in network marketing right now, I'm not working the business as I used to. It doesn't change the fact that it was like my foundation of set me up for a better life by making shifts in my mindset that could bring me to that next level, bring me to the next opportunity.
Right.
Thing about opportunity is, my co-author said this, is if you don't have your head up if you're not looking for opportunity is never looking for you. So you'll never see it if your head's not high enough, right?
On that point, a lot of entrepreneurs understand this failure. It's one of the most key parts of success, because in order to succeed, you need to probably fail 9 times to succeed once. So have you experienced failure so far in this transition?
All the time.
You're prepared to fail?
Yeah, fail hard, fail fast, fail forward, right? That's the keystone to the foundation to all of this is nobody ever does it on the first try.
Right.
We don't learn. Right? We don't learn. My daughter just said something to me that made me super proud, because I've been kind of helping her with her mindset, and she gets stressed out. She's 6 years old now. She started sports. She just had her first ever encounter where she felt like she was about to fight. She got heated, right? She got emotional, which reminded me a lot of myself when I was a kid. Like I would get super heated if we were losing or if I didn't play as well as I wanted to. So I'm always talking to her, talking about, her mindset, helping her see the bigger picture. And she said, "You know what, Daddy? I almost quit last game." And me knowing why, I still asked her, why, babe? She said, "Because those girls, I didn't like how they treated me. I didn't like how they were hitting me. It made me want to quit. But I know I can't quit, because I'll never learn to win." And that like, I was like,
yeah,
you kidding me right now? Like, you're 6 years old, you just said that to me.
Right.
But it's just, that's the result of planting these seeds into people's minds. No matter how young, no matter how old, you could change somebody's way of thinking, change their mindset just a little bit, enough that they could push them into a different direction, right? It's all about choices. You choose one way or another. You have these crossroads everywhere you go.
Absolutely.
You could go out right now, out in the street, and you could You could make a right decision or a wrong decision. You could turn left on the road, end up in a car accident down there,
Right.
or go the other direction and end up home. Right? It's everywhere.
Absolutely.
Life's all about these moments, all about little decisions you make. So it's very important to be conscious of that and make those decisions, knowing what your end result that you want. Right? You want a certain outcome from this.
Yeah.
So don't be foolish. Don't take chances.
Yeah.
Well, I shouldn't say that. I mean, that's what this is all about. Is taking a chance. You have to bet on yourself. You have to invest into yourself and always bet on yourself and always believe in yourself, because nobody's gonna do it for you.
Absolutely.
Nobody will ever do the believing for you. You have to just instill that into yourself. You have to be able to always know that, you know, opinions do not pay my bills. Opinions do not matter to me, because they're not going to be there in my hard times or in my good times, right? You got to pick your team, pick the people that you surround yourself with, people that are that you're, you know, letting in your head, right? And
Absolutely.
I choose to do that by picking, you know, influencers like, you know, Les Brown, Tony Robbins, Dean Graziosi, and, you know, it's all about personal development. If you want to go learn about personal development, learn from the best. So,
Absolutely.
you know, just these little shifts could push you in the right direction. And as you were asking me, what kind of opportunities have I been taking advantage of? What kind of opportunities have come up? And I find myself, you know, a kid, like a young man from a reservation, like a Indian reserve, that nobody ever would think would be able to get into stuff like this, but I'm doing it right now. I have a deal out in Las Vegas. Like, this is real estate, right? I'll share this with you guys and you, just because of, you know, us sitting here. But without any money, without, you know, any investment of my own, all it takes is knowing the right people, networking with the right people, connecting the right people. You can make something happen. For example, I have this property out in Vegas right now, Las Vegas. It's 14.6 acres of land. It's a palm tree. It's a palm tree, like a farm. They grow palm trees out there. And the buyer wants to, or the seller wants to sell it for, you know, $700K. So me and my partners, we looked at this, looked at the potential. Like, you know what? Like, we should get this under contract. And you can get a property under contract if you know the right ways. You know how to, you know, talk to the sellers and negotiate the right way. So we got it under contract, and we have a potential buyer right now that, you know, that's looking at it, and we're looking at maybe getting about 900 to 1.5 for this. I mean, you look at that.
In that range,
You look at that, that's like 200K to about 700K US dollars of potential income that could come just from knowing the right people.
Putting yourself in the situation.
Just from networking, knowing this guy that knows this guy that knows this guy that has an opportunity out in Vegas. Boom, you jump on it, and if it doesn't work out, so what? There was that potential, right? There was that opportunity that you could make that happen. So I've been meeting a lot of people. I've been, you know, meeting guys in real estate, meeting investors that are, and people that are looking for investors, big companies that are about to go public, right? I have this company in cannabis, the cannabis industry. You know, this is something that's very unique to the business right now, because if you know, and not a lot of people do, but the cannabis industry got very restricted in the last year, right? They want everybody to reapply for a license, could take 2 to 3 years. It's a long process. So a lot of companies, if you go drive around Vancouver, Lower Mainland right now, you'll see dispensaries shut down everywhere, all right? Because they're not legally allowed to run.
Okay.
So this company here, it's a manufacturer that's gonna, you know, process all the product. They have a long list of growers ready to go. They have a huge lineup. They're just waiting for their last investment, and I lined myself up where I could get like a huge fee for finding the right investor, which I'm talking to several right now, and shares in the company, right? And it's going to be publicly traded company. We're looking at 5.5 million shares for a potential, if I get the right investor, like that's 50 cents per share. You're looking at right away 2.25 mil for just finding somebody to connect.
Right.
It's all of like, I find networking is the hugest thing when it comes to being able to build wealth.
Right.
But it's not the only thing, right? Like there's so many opportunities out there that people just are too scared to take advantage of. You know, they see these ads. They see these ads on Facebook and they're like, no, that's probably, you know, BS. And there's no way that could be, that could happen to me. I can't run a Shopify business. I can't start an Amazon store and start selling products, you know.
Because people are scared.
Yeah, people are too terrified to even put themselves out there.
Everybody has the uncle or the family member that's lost an investment and gets scared off.
Exactly.
Right?
You shouldn't take advice from people that are not living the life that you want to live.
Right.
You know?
That. Yeah.
Right? Like if your uncle who, you know, stays at home and, you know, collects, you know, welfare or whatever, right? This is just a broad example. It could be for anybody out there. But if he's saying, oh, don't do that, you'll never, like, why would I, you know, listen to you? Even if they are doing good, even if they are making $100 grand a year, is $100 grand a year to you sound like success? Sound like you'll be able to live the life you want to live?
No.
It's not practical, right?
Right.
Like, that's what I thought operating for me would be. $100 grand a year would be, I'll be set. I'll be able to, you know, love my life. I wake up every morning and, you know, looking up like, damn, I got to do this again. I got to do this again every day.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking about when I don't have to do that anymore.
Right.
When I don't have to sit up and, you know, jump out the door before my family's awake and, you know, go out there and grind. It's, you know, you just really gotta get into that mindset of knowing that that's not living. That's like I said, you're setting yourself up for a life sentence.
Yeah. Well, it's so inspirational, despite, you know, the situation you grew up in.
Yeah.
All the adversity you've been through, for you to be so motivated and to bring so much success your way. I think we'll leave it at that. Great, Kirk. Hope to work with you soon, and it's been a pleasure.
Absolutely.
Thanks a lot
for having me.
Take care.